Welcome to Hot to Trot. This is not your normal horse racing podcast. I'm Ashley Eisenbiel.
And I'm Meadow Twaddle, and we're your hosts for Hot to Trot. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hot to Trot. We are back at home. We were on the road for a little bit. We did a live episode at the Blackfoot sale in Harrisburg, PA, and that was a lot of fun.
I love that. Actually, I think that's probably one of my favorite lives, and it actually went smoother than most of the other lives we've done.
It did. All the guests were on time. Yeah, everyone was on time. We actually had people...
one was not on time.
Right. If you watched the live and saw the extra long commercial break, like extra long commercial break, it was because we were waiting for one guest. But the rest were there on time and ready to go. So other than that, it was a great episode. Other than we were really cold, but
it was cold. It was fun. I liked it. I thought it was probably. I'm going to do another sales episode. Maybe we'll do a thoroughbred one next time. Do like the Timonium sale next year. I don't know. I love sales. Sales are like so exciting to me. I love looking at like the pedigrees and going to get the horses out and looking at them and seeing what they go for. We all know I can't afford a filly trotter. If you watched it, you can watch me and Derek.
Yeah.
Pop all of my dreams because I'll never own a good one.
This year might have been the year to get one.
I know some went really good, and then like I didn't go back after Tuesday. And that's when all the big, numbers came out. That's when the horses started going for those sale topper numbers. And it got pretty impressive.
Yeah, the breeders
were there the whole week.
I was there the whole week. I got there Sunday afternoon to start looking at horses before everything started. And then I stayed. I really wanted to see the racehorse day, which is on Friday. So I stayed till Friday. So it was a long week, but I never complain about Harrisburg. I love it. And we actually ended up getting 7 yearlings. So I know we have a full barn of yearlings. So it's going to be a hectic winter breaking them. And
How many did you get last year?
5, I think.
Dang. Any special ones that's standing out for you this year?
Yeah, so we got the little Juniper filly that I talked about on the live. I wanted her so bad. And she's just the cutest little love bug, and she's so small that her little head can't fit over the gate when she wants in this. She's just adorable. So I'm so happy.
Pictures. Insert pictures here of Juniper. I just like her name.
Yes, and she came from Del Val, who we love. So
of course, we got full cam.
Yeah.
Love that. Love supporting Del Val. We got to see them. You got to follow one of our horses that was born on the full cam to the sales ring. That was so cool. It's like a full circle moment for me.
I know, full circle moment. Yeah, I did a little TikTok following preparation before hitting the sales ring. I even threw in a little picture of whenever he was on the full cam, so definitely go check it out on our TikTok page if you haven't yet. But it's so cool to see just a transformation,
Well, the sale is over, but we are going into our winter racing season, and racing's not over yet, especially in PA. Right now we have 4 tracks that are live, and that's Harrah's, Meadows, Penn National, and Parks. But next week's Thanksgiving, and we have races the day before on Thanksgiving Eve at the Meadows. Your first post is at 12:45. So love that. It's a big day. But also my favorite, before I even worked in Pennsylvania, day of Pennsylvania racing is the eve of Thanksgiving at Penn National. And I would always take my girlfriends. This was their Christmas present. We would go to Mountaineer. I give them betting vouchers, and we would drink and watch the races, and they would get to bet on the ponies however they wanted to bet on them and win money. And they would have the best time. I'd probably take like 4 girlfriends up there. And then I take my kids up there some years. But that was always like my Christmas present to my girlfriends was Thanksgiving Eve up in that restaurant overlooking the track with their little TV, and they get to drink their drinks and wine. And I got to introduce them to my little world of horse racing. So here in Pennsylvania. So I was doing that back when I worked like Pimlico. So I'm excited. I will definitely be there on Thanksgiving Eve.
That was my question. You heading out there?
I'm headed out there. And I don't know. hearing rumblings, the Grinch could be going.
Uh-oh. I also
Have to
heard
keep an
that
eye out.
through the grapevine.
Going to be trying to ruin someone's Christmas. Take some take some betting tickets. Take your program. Hand out some onions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Racing at parks on Black Friday. That's
Hmm.
another big thing coming up. I probably won't make it out there. I might be participating in the Black Friday festivities at the mall, but
Yeah,
I'll
I will. I'll be on my couch doing the Black Friday thing, but I won't. I'd like to be at a track, but I think I need to like put the whole focus into the shopping this year. I
yeah,
gotta get them sales.
yeah. We talked about that last year. We are always ready for a good sale.
Need a sale. But the Meadows is also racing on
Hmm.
Friday as well on Black
Yep.
Friday. So you won't even be
12:45
there.
pace.
You're gonna time out.
Well, coincidentally, the outlets is here and the racetrack is here. So we might be in luck, so we'll see.
Perfect.
I
I
know.
love that location.
It's so convenient. Well, let's talk a little bit about our guest today. He is one of the hardest working riders on the PA circuit, and he's very recognizable if you're on social media. We talked to jockey Ramon Moya, and he was such a great interview. He shared a lot of insight, and we talked a lot of serious topics that I think are a little bit untouched in this industry.
Yeah, he really brings to light things about mental illness and substance abuse and addiction. And I think it's really important that we address, those issues as an industry, but also just as humanity. People suffer from these things. I know I have spoken about it, so it's very important, and it takes someone with a lot of strength and a lot of, I think, just self-esteem and self-worth to be able to go out and say these things publicly. So I thank him so much for sharing what he shared today. But yeah, he is no one to sneeze at on the social media game. He has over 40,000 followers on Instagram, 135,000 followers on TikTok. He's gone viral more than once with his videos. Really brings, people who are following him along literally on a ride on the back of a thoroughbred at parks and a lot of other racetracks that he works at. So, doing a lot of important stuff. So, we really hope you enjoy this interview with Moya and hope you guys like it.
All right, Ramon Moya, we are so excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for taking some time to chat with us. Let's start from the very beginning with your horse racing career. How did you first get into it, and how did you become a jockey?
Well, my dad was an assistant trainer when I was like probably like 17, 18, 19, and he always like urged me to get into business. I didn't know anything about horses. So, it wasn't like my first go-to job, so to speak. I was working as a boiler operator like in the city. I knew nothing about horses. So he basically urged me because like all my brothers, like, they got big. They were like 5'11", like, normal people weight. And I just never grew, especially weight wise. So, he told me, why don't I give it a chance? And the first time I went to get on a horse, I was terrified. Um, I didn't want to do it. It took some time to get used to, but I just I wanted to give this a try, as far as being a jockey, and I didn't want to look down the road and say, what if? So I basically took a leave of absence from my job, which was a good job at the time, and I took the time to learn, to basically ride racehorses. So having my dad being a trainer obviously, gave me the foot in that I needed to, and I basically learned the hard way. A lot of jockeys, I'd say the majority of jockeys go to like a jockey school, whether that's
Hmm.
here in the States or in Puerto Rico or Panama or even like Venezuela. A lot of those schools, but I just learned on the racetrack. I basically never rode a horse outside the racetrack. So yeah, that's how I kind of got started.
Wow, that's like super interesting. And you said before you were a bull operator?
A boiler operator.
A boiler operator.
Yeah,
Sorry. I
like
was like, would you do like mechanical bull? That sounds fun.
no, I was working like for the county basically. It was a county job. Like I had a pension, I had like, the insurance, the whole nine yards. It was kind of a steady job and you could kind of level up. But it was just, like I basically sat around all day and just reading boilers and, it was something that it was a job, it wasn't something like I was passionate about. I finished
Yeah.
high school. I was a little lost in terms of what I wanted to do with my life. So when my dad came to me and he kept urging me like, yo, you have the body, you kind of have the height and I mean the weight requirements to ride, why don't you give it a chance? So as much as I didn't want to do it, and as much as scared as I was of horses, I don't know, after a few months of around, being around horses, it kind of just took, and it's something that I fell in love with. It became a passion.
I love that. So your job is probably one of the most underrated and demanding jobs in sports. I don't think
Yeah.
people give jockeys enough credit. Can you just like walk us through a day in your life, like when you wake up till you get to the gate?
Yeah, it's funny, and even if I wasn't like I'm not saying this, I'm trying not to be biased, but I feel like jockeys are the toughest athletes, and there's so many factors that goes into riding a racehorse, So basically my day starts, depending on what time I have to be at the track, but I usually get up no later than like 4:30. Even on my day off, I can't sleep in, I probably wake up at 5 a.m., but I leave here around 5:30. I live like an hour away from parks, so I commute to parks every day. And my agent basically sends me my schedule the night before. So I may have 8 horses to get on tomorrow, or like today, I only had 3 horses to get on. So it really just all depends on your business and depends on what trainers need you. So basically, the training hours are like from 6:30 or 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. So the same way basketball players and ball players need to work out, so do horses. So those are the training hours. So when the track closes in the morning around 10, I go to the jocks room. If I could have a light breakfast, I will. And when I say light, I mean like maybe a couple eggs and that's it. That'll basically hold me over the whole day. And then I hit the sauna. It's something that wrestlers probably know a little bit about, cutting weight. Like for instance, today I had to pull like 3 pounds in the sauna and ride my races. Unfortunately, the 2 races I had got scratched, but let's say I did have to ride. Once you lose that weight, like you have to go ride. Like it's not like you lose the weight and you weigh in and you're good. You could just like drink 2 Gatorades. Like no, they kind of weigh you in before each race. So if you're a jockey with weight issues, that's like a double whammy basically. I feel like it's a second job dealing with my weight, especially with me, because if like I took 5 years away from the game, right? And my natural weight then was like 152, 150 pounds. So for me to come back to ride races, I had to lose 35 pounds. So that's a whole nother job, just within it. And yeah, so if you ride, let's say 3, 4 races, you might get done in the last race, probably goes off 4:35 p.m. And there's days I don't get back home till 6:30. And that's like a normal day. There's days where I'll have to do what I just said, the morning work and then ride a few races at parks, but then after Parks, I'd have to jump in the car and go rush to another racetrack like Penn National and ride night races. I rode Penn National last Thursday and I didn't get home till 1 a.m. and I had to be up the next morning to go to Parks. So it's a lot of driving, a lot of riding. And what people don't realize too is I get a lot of comments on like, oh, anytime I have like a tough one in the morning that I have a video from, they're like, oh, well, you kind of earned your pay. And I'm like, well, we don't get paid for that. Um, Tomorrow I could have 10 horses to breeze for trainers, and jockeys don't get paid for any morning work. So we only get paid for when we race. And basically you got to win. I mean, even if you come in last place, you get a mount fee, but yeah, listen, it's a lot of hours. This is something you got to love though. You know, you can't really treat it as a job. I feel like if you do this for the wrong reasons, you're just going to get weeded out and you're going to burn yourself out, you know, mentally and physically. So,
Wow. I don't think a lot of people realize how physically demanding it is. And like you said, you have to be doing it for the right reasons. I didn't know that you didn't get paid for morning work. I didn't know that you went in to help the trainer out. I had no idea. So I think that's something very important people have to keep in mind, that if you want to live this kind of lifestyle, you definitely have to do it for the right reasons.
yeah, like, and you know, like right now it's kind of like my slow season, you know, because in the summer I'm riding like multiple racetracks. So, you know, at least I'm riding 10, 15 races a week. But last week I rode 3 races and I didn't win. So you get paid three mount fees, which are, it could range from $100 to $125. So do the math. All the hours I worked last week, it don't add up. Um, Again, you have to love doing this, you know, because if you don't, it's going to be too tough. But yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you go into a ride, do you have any sort of strategy? Do you take into account what the trainer says? Do you have a game plan, or do you usually just wait till the break and see how things unfold?
Um, some jockeys might, but I feel like there's like a line, right? So I do my own studying. So when the entries come out, meaning when I know I'm going to ride, right? So entries are going to come out today for next Monday at Parks. So I'll get the PPs, right? The past performances, and I study the race. If my horse got speed, if he's a closer, if there are other speed in the race, and I try to visualize where I'm going to be in the race. Now, like you said, sometimes you go downstairs to the paddock and you have a game plan and the trainer tells you, well, break and take this horse back. And that kind of throws a wrench into your game plan. But if you're a rider, at least a smart rider, you're going to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, because not all horses break, you know. I've ridden a lot of speed horses that you would think would be in the front, and sometimes they don't break well. So if they don't break well, you got to have a plan C, a plan B. You know, maybe you got to just stay patient and stay off the pace. So, but for me, I watch a lot of replays. I would say most of the horses I ride, I know in the morning, which is a plus. But yeah, a lot of replays and a lot of studying. I feel like you can't just go out there and wing it. I mean, some might, you know, I can't speak for other jockeys, but for me, as soon as the race is drawn and you know, the overnight comes out, I get the studying real quick. And then sometimes even like before the race, a few days before the race, I'll stop by the trainer and we'll talk about the race. So that way, you know, when I come down from the paddock, we don't have to go over strategy.
I kind of want to circle back before I go back to go to my next question. You talked about, like last week you didn't win, but I don't think people also realize that jockeys kind of have their own payroll. You mentioned you touch base with your agent, you pay your agent, and then also you have your valet who gets
Yeah,
all your equipment and the silks ready for the next race for you after every race. Like you still have to pay them even,
correct.
so you even
Correct.
got less.
Yeah, and that's not even taxes, because I'm self-employed, so I get 1099. So at the end of the year, that's not even, so right off the bat, anything I make, 30% goes out the window, 25% to an agent, and 5% to the valet. And that's kind of like industry standard.
Hmm.
I feel like everybody does that. There might be a few jocks that pay 30. I'm not too sure, but yeah, if you're not riding at least 10 to 15, 20 horses a week, or if you're not winning at least one race a week, because if you finish second, you get like 5% of the owner's cut, which is a little more. But if it's like a cheaper claiming race, then it doesn't even add up to the mount fee. So yeah, you basically got to be riding a lot and winning a lot to actually make ends meet.
So that networking, I'm going to call it networking because to me, like in the morning when you're riding horses and training them and breezing them and working them out, that's your networking. That's you connecting with the
100%.
trainers, the horses, giving the feedback and getting those connections so
You,
you can get
yeah,
on the
no.
next race.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's not just that either. So like I was light today this morning. I only got on a few horses. So after that, me and my agent will make rounds and we'll go check trainers. It's kind of like the saying, out of sight, out of mind. So, you have to be there every day. Even if I don't have horses to get on, I'll still go in and check trainers out and sometimes just politic, it's like that gift to gab, and that's when the agent comes in, his connections or her connections are supposed to get you mounts and, you kind of have to sell yourself. And that's really how you get mounts. Unless you're really like a top rider like Irad or Paco, you could just, and them guys work hard. I'm not saying they don't work hard, but, you know, their agent's phone is ringing a lot more than say my agent's phone, so they're
Mhm.
calling them a lot more. But yeah, you kind of have to sell yourself basically.
I find that like fascinating and also like another huge pressure on your job. You got like, I don't think people understand like the amount of pressure jockeys have. You have your weight, you have the fact that you're endangering your life by riding on the back of a horse on some days.
Yeah.
And then you're also selling yourself as you're doing it every single day. So it's just, it's a lot of pressure for
it,
you guys
it,
as athletes all
it
around.
it really is too. And especially if you're not winning, right? I haven't won a race at Parks like in 2.5 months. Now I've won in Penn National like a few weeks ago. I won a few at Meadowlands before they ended, but I haven't won at Parks in a while. And that weighs on you, no matter how you want to look at it. And not even like money wise, just like for morale. Like if you're
Mhm.
not riding, if you're not winning, you're not really feeling good as a rider. You kind of question your abilities. And most of the times it's the horses that you're on to, but it's something that I've learned to deal with. Little by little, when I leave work, I try to leave work at work, but it's hard.
Mhm.
A few weeks ago, I'm not gonna say what race because I don't want the trainer to to hear this, but I feel like I made a mistake in a race and it just like ate me up like the whole night. I mean I couldn't get over it. And it wasn't even like a big mistake. It was something that, oh well maybe I should have went outside or inside or whatnot. But yeah, I feel like the pressure is a lot. It's unspoken, and that's why you see all these like mental health options that are becoming more available to jockeys. They did a survey last year or 2 years ago, and out of like the 300 jocks that actually did it, which is not a lot, I think like 33% was dealing with some type of not mental illness, but like depression, anxiety, financial
Mhm.
stress. So it's something unspoken about, and you kind of hear it more and more with jockeys taking their own life. Like that kid overseas, and I forget his name, but I know he was 19 years old, man, and a few years back, Alex Conchari and the other kid as well. So But I feel like HISA and the tracks are making changes. I believe they hired Trevor McCarthy now for the whole mental illness part.
They did.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's huge. And I think the more we talk about it, the more that other people are gonna be okay talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. Like, I don't think we've talked about it until recently, like the last few years, that it is a lot. It's a lot of stress. Um, it's a risky game, and we put a lot of pressure on you guys. And I I'm so happy that they put McCarthy in that role, and like
Me too.
we're as an industry acknowledging it and supporting
Yeah,
mental health. Like I'm everybody who knows me and follows me like on TikTok, like I'm a big supporter of mental health like all around. Like
yeah, me
everyone
too.
has issues, and instead of trying to pretend like we're all like these perfect people on the internet and on podcasts, like
Yeah,
I cry a
yeah.
lot.
Well,
Watch my
that
TikToks.
I feel like the internet's it's a bit of an illusion. It's especially like I get messages like and telling me how great my life is, and I'm like, listen, I am fortunate, I am blessed, but I'm like any other person. I have my struggles, and
Mhm.
if you know a little bit about my story, I'm very vocal. I'm in recovery, and I'm not sure what started my addiction. Obviously it was pain pills from due to injuries, but I don't know if I was dealing with more depression than actually pain. But yeah, that's why I'm so vocal about my recovery and my comeback and all the things I had to deal with to actually get back to the races. And it's tough, especially for younger kids that don't know how to express that or don't feel like they have any options. That breaks my heart to feel like that kid had no options to actually end their life. It's sad. So I agree with you. I think we definitely need to speak up more about it.
I think it's so great that you're so vocal and transparent about these things, especially being in the position that you're in with such a large following. It's good for people outside of the sport to see at the end of the day, we're all just people doing our best.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And listen, and I think I might have said this in a short film we did, but like I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to tell people I'm in recovery and all this stuff happened to me, but I have to, I feel like it's my obligation because if somebody hears my story and it helps them, then it's worth it. So and now with the huge following, I might even lose followers. Some people might not like it, or some trainers might never ride me for it, and that's okay. But I feel like it's bigger than me, and there's a bigger picture, and I
Mhm.
feel like the well-being of these athletes is paramount.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's great. I think it's great that you're standing up and saying it. And, you know, people need someone to look towards. You're definitely a success story. You moved past it and you got back to the races. And like to me, that's like the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
You went through the
Thank you.
journey, you did the work, and
Yeah.
you have to do the work. And, you know,
Yeah, yeah, no, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. We actually have a short film coming out like in 2 months, that we did on recovery, addiction, mental illness, and horse racing. It's called Brother. Me and my best friend Anthony Margata, he's a trainer, that I ride for a lot. He's in Florida now, but he's in recovery. I'm in recovery, and we kind of speak on that. And basically, it's again, it's something we need to keep speaking about.
yep.
So, what would make a good jockey and trainer relationship? Obviously, you just mentioned that you are working on a short film with a trainer. Obviously, you guys have something that you can speak about and collaborate on. But aside from that, what, in your opinion, would make a jockey and trainer relationship stronger?
Honesty, honesty. So I feel like a lot of riders come back from the race or even breezing a horse for a trainer, and they'll just say, "Yeah, he went good." Well, sometimes horses have issues, right? They might be a little lame, or they might need blinkers, they might need to go long, they might need to go short. There's been a few races in the past few years that I knew I messed up, and I come back as much as it hurt for me to say, and I tell the trainer I messed that up. And I feel like honesty is like the best policy, right? Because there's horses too that I ride and are a little lame, and I could kind of pinpoint where it's at, but if I don't come back to the trainer and let him know, how is he or she gonna do their job to find the issue? So, it's a lot, like I said, a lot of riders just come back and say, yeah, horse ran good or horse ran bad. So, apart from obviously having relationships with them, and friendships, like Danny V's like, a good friend of mine at Parks as well. We talk a lot, other than horse racing, but yeah, I feel like honesty is huge with Jockey and the trainer.
So, how do you stay mentally sharp and physically ready during the racing season?
Physically, I got a equicizer in my living room and a treadmill. um, Mentally, I'm a big NA guy, so I try to work the program. I try to lean to support from my family, from my close friends, because I do struggle, and even now I'm struggling mentally because I haven't won. I'm not riding as much, like. And it almost happens every year. Like July, August, and like September's are great months. Like I win races, I make decent money, and it slows up for me in the winter. And it's such a like stressor for me, and it's hard for me to wake up and keep going at it when you're not winning or you're not getting the mount. So I try to vent, to close friends and family, and I try to see the positive in everything, but it's tough. And physically too, like I haven't rode a race since Thursday. Yesterday I had to like throw like my sweatsuit on, throw a sweater on, throw like a scully on and work out in my house. I have the exerciser and I have the treadmill where I could do both, but it's an everyday job. It's not like just because I have a day off, I could just lay in bed all day. And I mean, sometimes I do, but you got to stay fit. You definitely got to stay fit as a jockey.
So you're primarily Pennsylvania based. I know sometimes you travel outside the state to ride. I know you mentioned Meadowlands. What stands out to you on the PA circuit compared to other tracks?
It's more tight knit because it's all year round. So you have trainers there that have been there for 20 years, and they never close. So that's why I like Parks as well. I mean, I used to live like in Pennsylvania before I went bad, like in 2011 to like 2015. But Parks is a great track. The purses are good. They got good horsemen, and it's year round. So if you don't, like, a person like me, like I've gotten like chances to go like down south or other racetracks, but I'm not big into moving. Like I like staying put in one place. And even though the winters get a little slow, the summers, once Monmouth opens and Delaware Park opens, and I ride a little bit in Maryland or Penn National, it kind of works out for me. But yeah, I love that Parks is all year round, and again, it's a very tight knit horse community of horsemen and horsewomen. So.
Is there a race that you rode in that really sticks out to you that you'll just like never forget?
Oh yeah. Well, there's two. There's my first winter back from my comeback in 2021 on a horse called Tis a Prince. I didn't think I was ever gonna ride again, and I didn't even think I was gonna live. Put it that way. That's how bad I was in and out of rehab. So for me to actually come back get fit and make it to the winner's circle, I actually teared up passing the finish line. So I'll never forget that horse in that race. The date, I'm terrible with dates. I think it was June 13th, like 2021, I believe. And another one is my first stakes win back on Bel Pensario. It's it's a filly that I've ridden basically her whole life, and I actually won another stake on her a few months ago, and she just got sold in a sale, but that's another race I'll never forget. And both are trained by, again, my best friend and almost like my sponsor, Anthony Margata. So yeah, both of those for sure stick out.
Wow.
So not only do we follow you on the track, we are both loyal followers to all of your social media pages. I had to write down the numbers because they're insane. Over 40,000 followers on Instagram, over 100,000 on Facebook, and 135,000 on TikTok. That's insane that you have been able to grow it so much.
You're a big deal.
Yeah, you are a big deal.
It's so crazy because I don't think it's a big deal, but then I guess like when you look at it, like it is in terms of like all the comments I get and all the positive feedback, but and that's just like in a year, and I really just started doing it because I wanted to show people how it was riding a racehorse, and then it kind of like spiraled into this thing where I started doing like educational videos, and now I feel like it's my obligation to keep going and keep teaching people about horse racing, which I think is important. I think there's a big misconception, about horse racing. There's a lot of bad articles or bad light that people just don't really know, and yeah, I feel like it's an obligation now. I feel like not I feel like it is another job because it is definitely time consuming for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Really kind of time consuming. I just love that you give everyone like the aspect of being a rider and
Yeah,
being
yeah.
on the horse, especially in the mornings, like when there's all the other horses going around you. You guys are yelling at each other. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, people don't like realize. They're like, oh, they train in the morning, or what's a breeze, or what's this, or what's that, and yeah, no, I think it's cool. I enjoy watching it myself, believe it or not. Even though I do ride them every morning, when I come back and I edit the videos, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
I also love how much you like talk to the horses and like you you talk to them so much and like calm them down and talk them through it. Like this is what we're gonna like. It's just really cool. I love the ways you like interact with
You
them.
know what? Believe it or not, like, and I said this in one video, even if I wasn't recording, I'd still be talking to them that way. Like, it's not like I just do it for the camera. Like, I do really talk to these horses. I feel like it helps. I feel like they understand your tone of voice. And sometimes you got to talk to them a little stern when they act, when they're acting up. But I feel like they understand to a certain point.
Now, do you feel like you get more positive comments and reactions to your posts than negative?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, no, it's definitely more positive. But when you make content like this every day, you kind of open yourself up to being a little vulnerable and to like criticism, because for the 95% good comments that I get, there will be 5% of bad ones. And I feel like I have to defend myself in some way or form. Like the other day, I posted a video of me playing with this gray horse, and I'm like with my glove, kind of like playing with his lip, like, and he's trying to like nibble at me, and I got like a few people like, "Oh, you're being so mean to the horse," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm playing with the horse," and I kind of almost had to like defend myself. So,
Hmm.
but listen, there's always gonna be bad comments on anything you do, no matter what you do or what you post. There's always gonna be that one person that saying you're doing it wrong, or saying that why am I doing this, or I shouldn't do that. That's just you know. At first, like, I took it personal, but now I feel like I'm just so immune to it. I just kind of like, all right, I brush it off and just keep, scrolling. So,
I think as an industry, we're doing a really great job at putting a lot of the negativity to rest by being so open and vulnerable on social media and showing behind the scenes. Do you think that social media is something that more people in the industry should be utilizing?
1,000%. I feel like it's a great tool that we're just starting to use. And, not just me, I'm seeing other trainers, I'm seeing other businesses use it, like, America's Best Racing, and, a lot of other riders are starting to do what I'm doing as well. So, I feel like we need it, I'm a big sports fan. Like, I love watching football and I love watching content of football, like, the locker room stuff or like behind the scenes stuff. Like, I love watching stuff like that. So I thought of it like, if I'm a horse racing fan, I would want to see this, right? So that's what I try to do that's what I try to put into when I make my content, is something that, and I go about my comments as well. Like, I try to read comments and see what people want to see, or like, if I have a question that a lot of people are asking, that's what I'll make my next video on. But yeah, I think it's super important. Social media, I feel like it's a platforms that we could thrive on, in terms of the horse racing industry. We definitely need it.
So if some of our listeners don't already follow you, where can they find your content at?
They could find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Moya Rides Races, and Facebook as well. Moya Rides Races. It's just one word, and I just have one page. So I have the verification, because apparently there's a lot of fake pages and people trying to scam. I guess that comes with the territory. But yeah, you could find me on all four platforms.
Well, I have one last question before we put you in the hot seat, because you have it's tradition. We have to put everyone in the hot seat.
I'm ready.
But I'm going to ask you this one last one because I think this is really important. Anyone who kind of suffers with mental illness or anything, substance abuse, I think it's important to have goals. And I know it's important for me with like short-term goals and long-term goals. Do you have any like long-term goals for the next year that you're trying to accomplish?
I do. I don't know if it's gonna be in the next year. Um, I want to transition to being a trainer. I don't know if that's listen, I love riding, don't get me wrong. Like, I would ride races until I'm 70 if I could, but
Tony
if I,
Black.
exactly. No shade of Mike Smith. I know he's like 55, but them guys are like in their prime. But if I'm not getting the opportunities, it's something I thought about. It's something I think about a lot, actually. When I'm going to do it, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard to walk away from being a jockey. I feel like that's my identity, and I know I shouldn't think like that, but it's something that's going to be tough to walk away from. But yeah, yeah, my goal is to definitely eventually become a trainer. And as far as the short film, that short documentary that we made, that was just for like friends and family. We put it into film festivals, and then we're gonna put it public. I believe it's 38 minutes long, but now we're actually gonna do the full length documentary, something that we could put up and sell to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime. So this winter and
Oh,
next spring, that's what we'll be working on. We're like, a whole film crew, basically, and speaking about mental illness, speaking about addiction, and speaking about horse racing. We're going to go around doing interviews. We're going to do a little more like in depth of what we did in the short film. So, I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah.
that's amazing. I think that's going to be something fantastic for a lot of people, not just the industry, but also for the
Yeah.
overall raising awareness.
Yeah, no, listen, I feel like, especially nowadays, everybody knows somebody that's dealing with some type of mental illness or addiction. You know, another big part of me and Anthony's friendship is he lost an older brother to addiction, and so did I. And, we both grew up in the same city where there's no horses. We grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and we're both in the same industry. Now, mind you, I didn't know Anthony until I came back and I got sober. But he was so open about his story that it made me become open about mine. So, we're hoping that trickles down and, it helps somebody because, again, this game is tough. A lot of jockeys are going through it in silence, whether that's mental illness or even substance abuse. And hopefully, we could bring some awareness.
Well, we will definitely plug that and support that on our socials.
Appreciate that.
Well, it is now time for us to put you in the hot seat. Are you ready? This is a little fun portion. Meadow's
All
going
right,
to kick
I'm
it
ready.
off with the first question. It's Thanksgiving themed because it's right around the corner.
All right, cool.
All right, first question. Would you rather cook all of Thanksgiving dinner or clean up after it?
Definitely clean up after.
I think I'd rather cook.
Okay.
I don't know. Listen, I had Thanksgiving because each year, like me and my family, we have it at my mom's or my brother's, and I had it at my place like 3 years ago, and it was a lot. Between hosting, I didn't cook a lot, but I did cook a little bit. Like my mom did the turkey, obviously, but I feel like, yeah, cooking is gonna be an all day thing. I'd rather clean it out and just. I feel like that's a little easier.
Well, this is a Black Friday question.
Okay.
All right. Which item would cause you to wrestle a stranger to get the last one on the shelf? A giant flat screen TV or your lifetime supply of your favorite snack?
Ooh, probably lifetime supply of my favorite snack.
What's the
What's that
snack?
snack?
Uh, right now I'm like big into I don't know if you guys know, like they're like these, not like granola bars, but they're like the s'mores ones, the Kellogg's ones. I forget
I
their
have
name,
them in
but
my cupboard.
oh, they're the best. Listen, I buy like 4 boxes a week, and I tell myself it's for my son, but I end up eating all of them. So.
It's because it's the freeze-dried like marshmallows in them are so
Oh, it's
good.
so good. It really is. It's that or Pop Tarts, the s'mores. I'm big
The
into
s'mores
s'mores.
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
I
they're
like it.
fire.
All right, what's the worst Thanksgiving food that you would ban forever?
Oof. I feel like rice doesn't belong there, and like I'm Spanish, right? And I feel like so like if I had Thanksgiving and my aunts when I was younger, there would be like rice and beans. I'm like no, it got to be like mac and cheese, like mashed potatoes, turkey, gravy, cranberry. Yeah, I feel like rice doesn't belong there. Rice or like any other like poultry, like chicken or anything like that.
Yeah.
Other than
I,
turkey.
Other than turkey, well, obviously, but
yeah.
some of my family they'll do pork. I'm like, no, ham's a must. I'll
Yeah.
take ham.
So if you had to identify yourself as any like side dish on Thanksgiving, what would you be? I know,
I
I
don't
made these
even know.
questions. I take it.
If I had to damn, that's a deep one. Hold
I
up.
know.
Uh,
I feel like I'm gravy. I just make the whole dish better.
I don't know. Damn, that's a tough one. I feel like I'm like dessert. I'll be like the pumpkin pie or something.
Yeah, the sweet ending. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't want to sound like a narcissist and say the turkey.
You're right. See, it is a really deep question. You can really tell,
It's
like,
so deep. Like
That's
people could
hilarious.
dissect that in so many ways.
I feel like everyone should ask this question to everyone at their family table on Thanksgiving. Like,
That's a
what?
great one though.
Like, you can really tell someone's personality. Like, of course, I say I'm gravy. Just pour me over everything. I'll make the whole plate better.
That's the
I
first. I don't
don't
think I've ever heard that question before.
know. We're doing a lot of firsts.
That's
I like it. I like
hilarious.
it. I may need to come back for Christmas.
I like it. We'll have you.
Yeah, please, please. This was fun.
We have one more question. Speaking of
Uh,
Christmas, is it acceptable to decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving?
I think it is. Just
Good
because I'm a big
answer.
holiday person. I haven't
So,
done it yet, but I feel like right after Halloween, the Mariah Carey song pops out, and you can start putting your tree up. You know,
yes.
I'm big into. I like love this time of year. Like this is my favorite time of year. Like I don't care how cold it is. I just love Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great time of year. And I'm already decorating. It's not all decorated, but I have one Christmas tree up and I'm
Yeah.
going
All
room by
right.
room.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode of Hot to Trot. Moya, thank you so much for joining us. This has been
Thank
an
you, guys.
insightful, I think, very important episode, and we are huge fans of yours. So,
Thank you, thank you guys so much. Yeah, anytime you guys want to have me on, I'm here. I really appreciate what you guys do as well. So thank you.
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. You have a great day.
Bye, guys.
If you're struggling with your mental health, you're not alone. Help is available. Call 988 for free confidential support. And if you or someone you know is struggling with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER for assistance and resources.
Thanks for listening, and thank you to the Standardbred Breeders of Pennsylvania for sponsoring Hot to Trot. We'll see you next time.